What is going on, everyone? It's your boy KB, and I love movies, and I love doing the conversations. Welcome back. If it's your first time here, welcome. It's been almost a month since I've been doing a live stream here on the channel. I've done a couple of guest spots on other people's channels, but before December starts in a few days, I said, let's get the conversations going again. I miss them. I really do. The main reason I started this channel is to have conversations with people about movies, share my love with other movie lovers, and I've missed doing that. Every given opportunity, I've either been talking about the spooky season challenge that I did last month, 31 conversations in 31 days. You know, people are still coming up to me and talking about it, or just talking about movies in general. So, you know, award season starting soon. We had a really good year for horror movies. So it's a lot to discuss. I changed up my background a little bit, added some lights. Shout out to you, Justin, from the Rad Pack. Thanks for your assistance. But yeah, it's good to be back. And it's good to start off the conversation season with a new guest. And this is a really cool guy that we've gotten to see in chats and on Instagram. And most recently, he started up his own channel. He has a couple of videos out there already. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot more from him. So I said, let's bring him in. Let's have a conversation with him, find out a little more about him. We have Corey from Wilkie's Movies and Music. And I have to say it slow because I don't know why I get stumbled up on it. I want to say music first. I don't know why.
I should have come up with a better name when I did it.
No, man, it's good. It's unique. It's promising. We'll get back to that in a minute. But I like it. And I think I was watching Dell and he was talking and he just rattled it off real quick. And I'm like, how does he do that? Because I'm always like, Wilkie's Music and Wilkie's. And it's like, I just keep doing it. So it's a me thing. It's not you. It's
no, if it makes you feel any better, I've messed it up on a couple videos. I'm pretty new on it still, and I've messed it up a few times.
Oh man, it's all good. The whole thing is, a lot of people they start off with one name and then, you know, they switch names or they condense it or something sticks. You know, somebody might give them a nickname and it sticks for a little while, or you know, people go back to their government names. You never know what happens. Like, I'm sure you don't know who the Blu-ray Queen was.
No, I don't.
Movies and Sue.
Oh, okay.
That was the name of her channel when I first started watching her. So, you know, it takes you back a little bit.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I kind of created some stuff with it a long time ago, but it took me a long time to get the courage up to actually roll out with it. So who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it would have been different if I would have just started fresh right now. But
yeah,
just took me a while to get that courage up.
Same way. I mean, when the pandemic started and I was watching, I think it was Dave from Cinema Sickness. I don't know if you follow him or not.
Yeah.
But he was doing a tour of his basement, which is basically his library. And I'm like, how does he afford all these movies? And then he started talking about thrifting and getting things on Amazon on sale. I was like, I never thought about doing that. And then the collection buzz started again. And then I started, you know, the suggestions page. And that's how I got into the Bluetooth community. And it was like, it was just snowballing from there. But it took me 18 months.
Yeah.
From the beginning of the pandemic, you know, being home, getting a new puppy at the time. He's 4 now. And it was like just going from there to starting my page. And I mean, I give you credit for, you know, starting your channel and everything, because I look at how you started and how professional and everything looks and sounds. And I go back and I watch my first video and I literally cringe. I was so nervous. I look like I should be holding up a newspaper with today's date. Like, Yeah. So
Well, if it
yeah,
makes you feel better, I still cringe at mine too, but I'm still getting over you seeing my face and hearing my voice, I think,
yeah.
when I watch it back, but I think
It's that
everybody has that a little bit.
self-criticism.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
For sure, for sure. Oh man. So first of all, tell people where they could find you up front and then, we'll advertise it again later on. But please.
Yeah, sure. On YouTube right now, I'm at Wilkie's Movies and Music. I'm also the same handle on Instagram. Post some pictures of movies I'm watching or picking up on there as well. And then I'm on Letterboxd as well, but that is Wilkie IA. So,
Hmm, I didn't even know that. I'm gonna
yep.
have to add you if you're not on there already.
Well, and that's what's fun about all this is like a lot of times there's people I've been following for a long time on YouTube and I don't realize they have a Letterboxd account or
Right?
things like that. And so you find that out and it's like finding somebody new again and you're like searching through like, okay, what have they been watching lately?
Hmm.
Or, what are they ranking things at? So
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there and sometimes it's just hard to sift through it and find the people.
My thing is, if I don't use Letterbox, I can easily forget what I've watched,
Yes.
especially if it's an older movie. I mean, today's stuff easy to remember. Hey, you went to the theater and you saw Scream 6, big
Yep.
whoop. But like, if it's like Shop Around the Corner or something like that, I'm like, did
Mhm.
I see that?
Yep.
Or if it's like something where it has the same title but different iterations of the movie, I'm like, I don't know if I saw that version. So it's a great way to keep track of those little things.
Absolutely. And I'm still new to it. I was just started at the beginning of this year. And
Hmm.
one thing that helped me out is I have a habit of going back and rewatching some films I've already seen before and not hitting ones that are in my collection that I haven't watched yet. So sometimes I've put it in there. Yeah. Sometimes I've put it in there and I've been like, okay, I just watched this 4 months ago and I haven't watched this other one. Maybe I shouldn't watch this one again and move
Hmm.
on to a new one, a new
Yeah,
watch.
yeah. I know there's a group of people who will not shelve their movies until they watch it. I said I would have practically nothing on my shelves if I
I
did
mean,
that.
tripping over them.
Yeah, pretty much, which that was the case not too long ago with my old DVDs, and I just took two halves of a shelf and just put them together and just started storing everything. But
Yep. Absolutely.
we are not alone. We
Yeah.
have a couple people join us, and they are lighting up the comments. So let's see who's here.
Absolutely.
We got Adrian Jameson checking. Good evening. Good morning, sir.
Hello.
Uh, we got David, Collector Movie Man, saying hello.
Hello.
We got the monkey with the intro. Attention, everyone and all. This Iowa boy has it all. He took YouTube by storm from the 4K lowdown to Anthony's Horror and more. This YouTube premiered watching 6 movies with a critical eye shine on guy. What does that last part mean? I don't know what that last part means.
I I'm blanking on it too, honestly.
Monkey,
But
please.
that's a heck of an introduction. I mean,
He's
thank you.
good. He's good. He's good for the intros. And I'm sorry I missed it. Otherwise, I would have used it. When I see it, I use it.
Yeah.
We got my BFF Melissa here saying good evening to all. Hope
Hello.
you are relaxing, having a good evening. We got Mike. What's up, Magic Hands? We got my man Jodo saying what's up, party people. We got Jeff K saying evening. We got John Doe Juggalo saying good evening as well. Hello,
Hey,
hello.
hey Jeff
We got Holland Oates saying hey to both of us.
Holland. I see him everywhere. He's like, and then I'll probably repeat myself on a lot of these people, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
awesome. It's awesome how much support a lot of the people in the community give on a
Yeah,
lot of these
and
live
it's like
streams.
what we were talking about before. It's like I think that just strengthens, like everyone just helping everyone else, even if it's just popping up in the chat. He's probably on to like or watching 2 other things at the same time, but it's all
Hey,
good.
but he's dropped in and said, "Hey, that's
Yeah,
cool."
it's all good. We got Mama Blu-ray in the house. I love saying that. How you
Hey,
doing?
Bonnie,
Always good to see you. We got Steve in the house saying howdy.
Steve.
We got Movies with Ryan saying, yeah.
Hey, Ryan.
He'll be on later on with Steelbook Obsessed. My man
Absolutely.
Jake will be there to support you as well, my friend. So
Yes.
thanks for hanging out. We got Mika in the house saying hey and hi to all.
Hey, Mika.
We got Reed in the house saying glad
Reed.
you made it on the conversation. You're next, Spicy. Let me know when you're available. Hopefully we could get you on maybe January. You want to see if we could do something? Let me know.
Hopefully, I'm not gonna get too annoying because every time you're saying hi to somebody, there's like so many of them that I know that I like
Yeah, yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah.
shout out their name too. So
It's all good. Say
I don't
hi
want to
too.
talk over you too much.
Nah, just say hi. It's all good to me. We got Movie Hunter.
Movie Hunter.
Remind everyone, do not forget to smash that like button while you're here. Thank you very much, sir. Good to see you. Yeah, I needed a break. Those 31 days. Really, I want to say it was 30 because I had the community video for the John Carpenter thing, and that was the only day during the month that I went out. So
Well,
and I went to a John Carpenter marathon, so that was cool.
well, when you finish a marathon of your own with all those conversations, you gotta take a little bit of
Yeah,
a break.
yeah. And you would think I watch a lot more movies than I did, but I would say no, I watch a significant amount, but not a lot of like new stuff.
Yeah.
I went back like Saturday, I was by my folks and I turned on TCM and we watched Double Indemnity. The night before we watched Wizard of Oz. So it's like classics, but it's classics that you love and you revisit all the time.
Oh yeah.
So it was good. It was good.
Absolutely.
Glad to see you back up and running and have it Corey on. Yeah. I think we have people scheduled until the end of the year every Wednesday at least. I'll also be on 4K Lowdown. I'll have a Monday date here and there. So yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Shout out to all my Canadian friends. Love you. We got my sweetheart in the house. How you doing? How you feeling? So excited for the conversation's return. Glad to see my favorite person in Corey talking movies. Thank you. I hope you're doing well. Let's see. Oh yeah, thank you. I was a little bit inspired by your icon, your avatar there. So I did it a couple different ways. I did it like just straight purple with the I didn't put on that light. Hold up. There we go. So I have my top light and then I had just straight purple, but it only looks good from a distance. So I need a little contrast. So
I need to spruce some stuff up. I'm in a new little tucked away in a new little corner and I gotta
yeah.
something.
I saw the video. You need like at least like like
I
a
need something
or something.
Baby steps, right? Baby
steps. all in time. All in time. Tony Basement Blues, he's like my check and he's always like, how's that basement coming along? I'm like, Tony, it's not done yet. And it's been almost a year now, but I got my shelves up now. Of course, I got the TV was the first thing I put up. I got my furniture. I got my work desk. That's also my personal desk. I got lights going now. The next thing on my posters, I took advantage of Michael's on Black Friday and I got $15 frames and I got my Holy Trilogy Star Wars posters coming and I have my Spider-Verse poster to put up over there. So it's slowly coming together.
Yeah.
We got Derek in the house. What's up, my friend?
Hey, Derek.
Go a little faster. What's up, Killa?
No.
What's going on? Loving the channel, Corey. We all are. Thank you.
Thank you very
much. People saying hi to each other. Boom, 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 boom. We got Mizzy in the house.
Hey, Mizzy.
I was able to find more of those expendable steel books on eBay. Thank you for the tip. So, yeah, Sue is just queen now. Yes.
I love that.
The Blu-ray queen. Now she could be the 4K queen too, the steelbook queen.
There you
go. I'm always afraid that people think my child's about the house. No. We'll leave that one alone. Yes, that's the level of friendship we have. I told him his sound sucked and he needed a lapel mic. When people hear, they tell you what to do.
It's great getting feedback though. That's where I've told a few people, I'm like, you're not going to be any worse on me than I am to myself. So like, if you're like, hey, this could use a little work, I'm open. I'm a newbie. So
yeah. See, here's Mel with her thousands of followers telling you getting over that awkward talking to yourself is hard.
Oh, absolutely.
I think I've had a lot of practice from like college radio. That was awkward, especially if you were by yourself to being a presenter, different things that I've done that now I don't think about it. But when I was starting, it was just my thing is, and you could probably identify, I wanted it to be perfect.
Oh, absolutely.
The diction had to be perfect. The information had to be perfect. And then one day I realized there's no such thing as perfection.
Well, and then I was probably annoying you, and I know I did the same thing with Bob,
Mhm.
Bob's Blu-ray,
Shout out
where
to
I
Bob,
did a
man. I miss you.
I know, I haven't seen that, man. I haven't talked to him for a while, but he's another one that was very, well, I mean, everybody's been there's so many great people, but he's like an early one that, talking with, but there's just a lot of times where there's been some videos I sent to you and to him, and I know I probably was annoying where I was like, I watched it again after I sent it. I'm like, that didn't look good. Did it? Did it look okay? Did it sound bad? Did it? Yeah.
No, no, no.
I'm
And
just
you're right.
overcritical.
We're hardest on ourselves, believe me.
Absolutely.
Somebody else will say it and say, "That's great," but you're like,
Yeah.
"But there's one more thing I could do
It's
different."
like, it doesn't look
Yeah,
good.
yeah. You just there. Do you follow Think Media?
Yes.
Their
Well, just
slogan.
recently, but yes.
Their slogan. You got to just hit record.
Yep. Yep.
That's all it is. Just put it out there.
Yep.
Just put it out. You could always go and fix it later. Uh, I have a letterbox. Ask me if I update it. Yeah, that's half the battle. uh, even finding people you already thought you followed on. Yeah, that
Yeah.
happens all the time.
I've been doing that continually.
Yeah, forget to update. I open it up when I start watching a movie, and I just pull up the movie and just leave it there. That's what I do.
Well, and then when I first got on it, I started like going back and like, oh, I'm gonna start marking all the movies I've seen before, and then I just got like tired of it, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'll just do it
Oh
later
my
when I
gosh.
get to it or whatever.
I was spending a few weeks, man, in a booth, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
I just went through watch
Yep.
list.
Yep.
Watch. Hard for me to make time to rewatch movies I love because I'm constantly in a state of discovery.
That's awesome.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
but that also makes it hard for you as a collector because then you're just buying movies that will just sit on your shelf. But I totally get what you mean. Totally get what you mean. We got Tiana on the check-in. I saw you pop up before and I missed you.
Hey, Tiana.
I'm just gonna, there we go. She says, hey, everyone. People saying hi to each other. Then we'll get started in a few seconds. Just don't want to miss anybody. Let's see. I love the way everyone interacts with each other.
I could just do this. I could just keep on talking to people in the chat though too.
Everyone's just saying hi. There's What's Johnny watching.
Johnny.
Go check out his latest video, especially if you want to win free stuff. That's all I'll say.
I was going to say he may possibly be a person I was going to mention later towards the end.
You could do it anyway. What's up, Gunchi? Great to see you, man. Glad to be back.
I see him all the time on your streams.
Yeah.
He seems to be like a great supporter of your channel.
He is. There's quite a few, but he's definitely one of them. And I always say it, Gunchi's in Taiwan.
Well, I was going to say he's also not in a very convenient, probably time zone all the time to tune in to see you, but it seems like he does. So
him, Adrian, Pete, Pete and Hannah, they're in Australia. There's a couple of different people. So when I see people like that pop in, I'm like extra appreciative because I know it's like the next morning or early next day. So I really appreciate it.
Maybe this is part of, maybe you can relate to, of having a life before internet, where that still blows my mind. Like just sitting here having a conversation. And I've had that even too in my limited experience with all this, conversations with people from completely different countries and getting suggestions from them. And I don't know why that still is amazing to me. But
I think it's fun because, there's people like Elliot Cohen or Film Blogger Sam over in the UK, and they're getting different releases, or we might get stuff on Criterion they don't have yet, or it could be a situation like they got the cool version of The Exorcist with the original cover, and we got that crappy one here in the States, and you're like, maybe I need to make some international friends for other reasons, or Canadian people got the French on the covers and whatnot. So
well, and I've loved it too, where I've gotten that push, and now I really love a lot of movies where they're like, you don't have to have a movie speaking English. You can
No,
watch foreign
no.
language with English subtitles, and I've found some really great movies from suggestions
Mhm.
of people helping me break out of my comfort zone,
Yeah.
of my watching.
Yeah, I saw you got a copy of I Am a Hero.
Yeah.
That's a perfect example right there.
Yep.
Sure. The monkey says that Shine On song is about the consequences of one's actions are immediate rather than born out over a lifetime. Thought it was fitting for the dawn of Wilkie's glorious purpose.
Hey, I'm gonna check that
Deep,
song out now. I'm gonna
deep,
mark that.
too deep for me. Thank
Deep,
you.
deep, but
Thank you
I'll
very
check it out.
much. All right, let's get into these questions. I always yeah, 5 years. Wow. What up, G? Um, I always like to start off with a non-movie question,
Sure.
and I'm gonna put a pin in these comments. Let's say right there, and we'll come back to it. Um, boom. All right. So start with the non-movie question, and then we'll get into the good stuff. So, because of the name of your channel, if I was to grab your phone right now or hop in your car, what am I going to hear? Not a podcast. What kind of music am I going to hear?
Um, and this is not trying to take a easy way out on this, but it is I'm all over the place and I love getting different suggestions and it's the same with movies too. So
Hmm.
it could be anything from I will say that there's a lot of times some of my maybe if you can call it comfort music is so I was born in the 70s, grew up 80s and 90s are like my all my school through college, is 80s and 90s. And so I have a big that's my comfort zone of
Hmm.
going back to like 80s, anything from rock to country to pop or what have you. In the 90s, like 90s alternative and rock, things like that. So that kind of probably is my comfort music I will go back to, but I'm constantly, I have some really good friends where we're constantly on our apps. We'll send, share things and be like, hey, have you ever heard of this? And so
Hmm.
getting introduced to, over the last couple of years, more blues and jazz and
Nice.
things that I just never, I just never was exposed to. I didn't have that. Growing up in our house, it was a lot of um, older traditional country music, and
Hmm.
so I think I went way the other route for a long time, where it was like your hair bands and your metal music and your alternative, and then I came back listening to that, and just I'm really open to anything. It just depends on my mood. It can depend on the day. You can
Yeah.
hear it. I remember when making mixtapes or even burning mixed CDs was like a bigger thing. And my wife would make fun of me because I would burn one of these and I put it in the car and we'd go on this long drive.
Yeah.
And she's like, how can you go from this song to that song? Like it'd be
Easily.
completely different,
Easily.
and she was just like, "No, it's too jarring." It's like you're going from one extreme to another, but,
Like,
that's
welcome to how my mind works.
yeah, exactly.
I'm like that too. I mean, for the IG story, used an album we both share
Yep.
in common as far as liking from the late 80s, early 90s, the Aerosmith album. I remember I was in school at the time, and I remember walking to class and I had a disc man.
Yeah.
I was blasting that song over and over, just walking up to campus. So yeah,
S
I can't listen to one genre of music. I mean, I do have ways that I kind of lean towards. I grew up in New York City, so like whatever I heard in the streets was kind of like what I adhered to. So whether it was rap, R&B, funk, disco, depending on the year, the era, whatever. But then, started getting into pop and rock and country, and my father would listen to everything from like Caribbean music to Engelbert Humperdinck and Burt Bacharach and Johnny Mathis. So it was just
It's
like
a
all
great
these
mix.
things just hitting me at the same time. And being a Willie Nelson fan, and just so I think I get it from him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't focus on one genre of music. It's just weird.
No, I'm the same way, and when you put that song on there, it bring back a lot of great memories. So, I'm kinda weird where I get certain things, or I hear a certain song, or I hear or I see a certain movie, and I can attach that to a particular time in my life. Like I remember like seeing that or hearing that or getting
Yeah.
that physical. So when you sent that, or when you posted that,
Mhm.
I said that was one of my first CDs I ever owned was Aerosmith Pump. So I still remember for Christmas, my parents bought me, it was probably the cheapest Discman you could possibly get. It was huge and probably took like 12 AA batteries,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that. But I loved that thing to death. I had that, and I had 4 CDs and I played them to death. They gave me for that Christmas, it was Aerosmith Pump.
Uh-huh.
So like I said, I went kind of a different route for a little bit because they were always country in the house. But so it was Aerosmith Pump, it was Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood,
Same.
AC/DC Back in Black,
Nice.
and Pink Floyd Animals.
Ooh, great album.
So those were my first 4, and those were my only 4 for a long time. And so that's the difference now is like I knew those albums inside and out.
You knew the
Like,
liner notes probably by
oh
heart
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah. You knew what song was coming next. You were getting ready
Mhm.
for it, and but that's all I had, and I would just listen to them over and over. And it was be the same with movies too, where you'd have like
Yeah.
we didn't have a ton of VHS tapes, but we had a few. But you just
Mhm.
knew those movies inside and out. And now it's just kind of crazy. We just have everything at our fingertips. But
Yeah, and don't get a chance to get to all of them.
right, exactly.
I'm just thinking about that time now. I do remember I had Pump, I had Dr. Feelgood, I had Nevermind,
Oh yeah,
um, Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
yeah. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, and then I had Purple Rain because that was just constantly in rotation. And it was funny, the summer that I started dating my wife, I would just bring my CDs to her room and, I just left them there because after a while there was like a level of Aquanet like that thick on it. So, Peter Gabriel, So,
Oh
Boyz
yeah,
II Men, Cooley High Harmony, Purple Rain, Blood Sugar Sex Magic. So for her birthday, I bought her each one of them her own copy.
yeah.
She's like, "Oh, I'm appreciative, but I don't know why you did this. I could always borrow yours." And she was probably thinking like today for tomorrow, but I'm thinking I keep my CDs forever. Is she talking forever? Forever, ever?
Forever ever.
And I'm like, "Oh wow, she's gonna be in my life for the rest of my life." I just at that it's something weird, but I just came up with that in my head. So
So sorry not to keep going on that, but
no,
that
no,
made me
no,
think
we're
of
good. This is a
it was,
conversation.
but that was always hilarious. So I did a similar thing with my wife when we
Mhm.
were dating, where I bought similar CDs, and you go back and we have a lot of them still. They might be in boxes and things like that, but if
Yeah.
you can automatically tell which ones were my CDs and which were hers. Mine have scratches all over the jewel case, and you can
Yeah, yeah.
tell the disc. Hers are like pristine. There's not a scratch
Like
on
if
the
you just
things.
bought it yesterday.
Yeah, right. It's like perfect. And mine, I'm like, what did I do to these things? I wish I would have treated them better, but
Yeah.
they still play.
Melissa had a question. Do you have a favorite band?
You know, that's kind of hard. It's like a movie too. It's like, do you have
Yeah,
your
yeah.
a favorite movie? And sometimes it can hit me differently at a different day, a different mood. Like I said, I'm all over the place. I don't know why it seems like when I was talking about some of those older ones, a big comfort one for me to go back to is Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a chill, just
Yeah.
relaxing. That's a comfort one for me. So there's a lot of times where if I'm going to unwind, it won't be the only one, but there's a lot of those albums I'll put on, and I can just kind of
Yeah.
de-stress and just listen to that and let,
Metal is good for that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Not Metal, Meddle, for
yeah,
those that don't know Pink Floyd, but,
yep. Yeah, and I
um,
have that, yeah. So I have a lot of the vinyl and CDs of those, but I just yeah, throw that on and just listen to it.
yeah.
There's a Endless River is a great one from them too, where it's just it's all instrumental, but it's
Mhm.
definitely Pink Floyd. But I
Ryan
want to
wants
see
to see you
Carmen.
with a flock of seagulls here, dude.
I'm almost there. I just need to
You just
bring it
need
up a little bit.
Yeah, you need to lift it up a little bit. So where did you come up with I know the answer to this, but for conversation's sake, where did the nickname Wilkie come from?
That's one that actually is kind of funny. It's kind of ran in my family for a long time. So it's short of my last name. So Wilkerson, Wilkie. And it actually was something that my grandfather was a pilot in World War II, a
Oh.
B-24 bomber pilot. On his flight jacket has Wilkie on there. He spelled it a little different, but
Mm,
and it kind of just passed on. My brother had it, and then I had it. It just seemed like everybody around. We were a very rural, smaller community, so
yeah.
everybody knew everybody, and it just seemed like the next one. I was like, oh, there's the next Wilkie, and it just kind of would stick each time around.
Yeah. Um, do you remember like when you started exploring? We were talking before we came on the air about the Bluetooth community and everything. Do you remember like when you started exploring the Bluetooth community? And do you remember like first people you started to follow and everything?
I do remember there's a lot of them that, and it's kind of funny, like how it's changed over the short amount of time too. So, um, I know I saw actually you pretty early on, Ken, mid-level media. He was a very early one. I'm kind of wondering if he might have been one of the first ones I came across because I would just start searching movies or like clips of movies, things like that, and then you'd start having people come up in your feeds, and I think he was probably one of my early ones that. And then I'm like, oh, and then you get the suggestions, and I'm like, oh, there's other people talking about these things, more than just like, oh, here's a movie clip, but like things are picking up, thoughts that they have on movies and reviews of them, and just kind of started branching out. And I also remember seeing like one of your very early, conversation videos, and it, I don't know, I was like, those were conversations I wish I could have just with somebody sitting
Yeah.
across the room from me at home.
Right.
But I just didn't have as many people that were as interested in those topics. I mean, no, not saying anything bad about anybody, but they just didn't have those interests to go into it that much more. And so when I was listening to those, or when I finally started joining in on the chats, it was like I was finally getting that conversation I was missing. Like, not,
Hmm.
no pun intended, but like I mean, to be able to talk about those things or hear other people talk between them, and I could be like, oh yeah, yeah, I feel the same way, or
Yeah.
give you a new movie to go check out.
Yeah, it was interesting because when I started, the thing that I always thought about, I listened for years to, um, I'm a big techie guy, so I was into Apple products and Macs and all that. And there was this guy I would follow for like 15 years, and I knew his voice. And even though I hadn't seen him week by week, but I heard his voice once a week, so it became like familiar and comfortable. And we would, the only type of conversations we'd have is through like written word in a text or email or whatever. So by the time I met him, we'd known each other, but not in real life for over a decade. So it was
Mhm.
like pretty much picking up where the last chat or email conversation took place. And it was I knew his voice. He never heard my voice. So it was something so familiar. And every time someone tells me, hey, I don't even watch your YouTubes, I drive around, I listen to it, who says it's comforting, who says what. And it's like, it's the new generation of that. It's like the voice, the format of the conversation, and I might make little changes here or there, but I want to keep that feel the same. So if you like it, you come back. If it's something new, you discover it, kind of thing. So yeah.
I find that too. It's funny when there's a lot of times I'll listen to YouTube videos throughout the day, and I can't sit there and watch them, but I'll have them sometimes playing to have something there, and I'll be listening to them. And I'm the same way where it's like now there's so many different at first it was maybe like one or two I'd recognize the voice. Now there's so many people. It's kind of
Hmm.
funny where it's just like an old friend you run into, or they give you a call and you hear that voice and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
there's so many people now that I can just recognize the voice of. And
I'm sure like I last Christmas I gave you my phone. No, the night of Christmas last year, I had a conversation with my kids. And when they started mentioning all the names of different people and suggesting who I should have on, I know a lot of people thought, so his kids watch YouTube also? No, they hear it when I'm watching it, or, you know, it's within earshot to them, so they're familiar,
Hmm.
you know, and that familiarity becomes like, oh, that's Tim, oh, that's Ryan, oh,
Yeah.
that's Huck, you know, or whoever it is.
Yeah.
And it's true. You get to know cadences. Even I could do pretty much, I won't say everybody. I know a lot of different people's cadences because that being in my background, it's something that I study without even realizing that I'm doing it. So
So that's a funny thing, like rewatching my. So I'd catch that from some people too, but then rewatching my very few videos that I have out. But when I'm watching those, it's kind of funny when you start really listening to yourself, and you're like, okay, I say that a lot, or
mhm,
I repeat that a lot, or I do this a lot, and I don't know. It's probably a good practice anyway,
yeah,
just for public speaking or anything like that.
definitely. You know, who says let's get it, let's go? Who says what are we waiting for? Who says what gets your juices pumping? You start to remember these, so it's interesting.
Absolutely.
Let's catch up
Oh, sure.
on some of these chat things here. Conversation in the back end. Yeah, glad to be back. Sardis in the house. What's up? Corey, you're right. Bob is a super supporter of new channels and people joining the community all around, all around.
He was
And
a
yeah, shout out to Bob Blu-rays. Check
yeah.
out his channel. He hasn't posted in a while, but a lot of content out there if you haven't visited before. Um,
Hey, Ben.
we got Vincenzo in the house saying, enjoyed chatting with Corey about movies for a while now. Glad he has a channel. Me too, man.
Yeah.
Talking about perfection, no such thing as perfection. Perfection is real and exists. It's just unreachable. So true. So true. Talking about rewatching movies. I'm only down for rewatching movies. Live stream I'm on, trying to burn through that 60% of unwatched stuff. You ain't lying. You are not lying. So hard to get through stuff I haven't seen. It's true. There's something about familiarity with content that, you know, you could watch something that you know well for 2.5, 3 hours, but a 90-minute movie you never seen before will seem like a struggle sometimes. We got the Huckster in the
Hey,
house.
Huck.
What's going on? I'm going to skip down to another comment that he made later on because it is familiar to what we were just talking about with the nickname. His dad's nickname was also Huck, so that got
Oh, okay.
passed down to him as well, which is
Same with me.
pretty cool. Talking about movies with subtitles, love subtitles. You miss out on a lot of good films. Yeah, it's kind of ignorant as Americans to think like we got a cornerstone on great movies when we got a world worth of cinema to get through, new
So
and old.
that was a funny thing when I first started watching foreign films
Mhm.
was at first I was doing the English dubs and it was so funny. Like I don't know these people at all, but
Right.
like I'm like, no, that voice isn't right for that person.
Yeah.
Like I don't know why. So
Yeah.
the very first one I remember was that so it was Train to Busan. I was watching that one. So I started that with the English dubs and I
Mhm.
did not get very far into it. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. And I stopped it, restarted the whole thing and did the
Yeah.
English subtitles. And it's been that way ever since.
Yeah, I
So
can't do dubs.
yeah.
I hate when I go to stream a foreign movie and that's the only option given.
Yeah.
I almost feel like turning off the volume, missing out on any score or sound effects or whatever, and just reading the subtitles like it's a silent movie. I'd prefer that than
Yeah.
really bad dubs. We got Jim Powers in the house. What's up, Chef? We got Eddie Films and
Hey,
Stuff
Eddie.
joining us. Saw your video today, man. Looking good.
I was just checking that out
Nice
too.
call. We got Mega Mike, the movie man.
Mike.
Welcome home. He's another one that went away for the holidays. Hope you had a great trip. Talking about music, Melissa says those albums have your heart. Those albums that you have.
So I'm trying to put some names with
Yeah.
faces. I believe Melissa, you've had conversations with her before, correct?
No, I have
No?
not.
Okay. Okay.
No.
Sorry. I'm mixing her up
Um,
then with somebody else. Sorry.
so she is on Instagram,
Okay.
and she is married to Eric, also known as Zombie Daddy Films.
That's
So
okay. I
yeah,
follow him. I
yeah.
do follow him.
So if you follow him, then you probably seen pictures of her. So
Okay.
yeah, those are the homies. Love
Sorry.
them.
Sometimes seeing new names, I just
No worries. Nevermind was the last cassette I ever bought. Great album. I still play it today like it just came out.
so everybody's talking about like Best Buy and the whole like getting out of physical media. I
Hmm.
still remember the day I was going on a road trip, and this was a long time ago, and I
Yeah.
still had a cassette deck in my car. It was a CD and a cassette deck, and I was
Nice.
like, I just wanted to buy a couple cheap things to listen to on the way. It was before satellite radio and everything like that. I still remember the day walking into Best Buy, walking around forever, and then asking a guy, I was like, "Where are your cassette tapes?" And he looked at me like I was crazy, and he was like, "We
Like,
haven't had those for a long time," you know?
you ever heard of CDs, dude?
Yeah. So, but now it's funny where they're getting popular again, and they're re-releasing some
Yeah.
albums on those. So,
Same thing with VHS. It's like
yep,
things come back around sometimes.
yep.
The question here is, are you a Taylor Swift fan or Ed Sheeran fan? And do you like soundtracks to, I want to say, movies?
I am so I don't hate either one of those, but they're not music that I gravitate towards. So that's not any diss on those at all. I know they're
Yeah.
popular, and there's a reason they're popular.
Hmm.
They reach a lot of people. They touch a lot of people, but
They do.
movie soundtracks, I do like listening to. So there's a lot of even like scores. That's something I like listening to while I'm working. Like sometimes where I got to concentrate a little bit more and I can't have dialogue going on. I love movie scores.
Hmm.
And so there's a lot of those I'll put in. Like just today, I was listening to Man of Steel.
Ooh,
Um,
good
the
one.
and then Dunkirk was another one that I had recently. So not saying those are my top ones, but just recent ones that come to mind that I was listening
Yeah,
to.
yeah. Both good selections for sure. Back to the CDs. Eric and I had the same exact CD collection when we met. You're destined to be together. There you go. Pink Floyd Division Bell is everything.
That's a
Good,
great one.
good call. Good call. What's up, brother Dell?
Hey, Dell.
We got Jersey in the house. What's up, Jerry? What up? What up? What up? And I think there's more, but we will catch up from there. So, just continuing on, we were talking about collecting and so forth. What's your collection like these days? And do you find it has multiplied since coming into the community, the Bluetuber community?
It has grown faster since
Yeah.
getting into the community. So I'm, yep. So I'm probably the very common story you hear probably all the time where I had a ton of VHS and a ton of DVDs for a long time. And I love technology. I get in trouble because I buy little gadgets here and there, and I love getting into it. So when streaming started coming about, I went all in on it, and
Hmm.
there was a lot of stuff. I'm like, we happened to be doing a move at the time as well, and I got rid of a lot of things I wish I, I look back, I'm like, I wish I would not have gotten rid of. They went to some good homes. I sold some, gave some to friends, things like that.
Hmm.
But I went all in on that. And then I got to where I was like, well, not everything was on streaming. So I'd start picking up things here or there and getting back into it. As Blu-rays were coming out. And but no, since in this community, it opened. So even when I got back into it before really joining a lot of chats and live streams, things like that, getting into this now all of a sudden I'm like, before I didn't know what Criterion was. I didn't know what
Mm.
Indicator was. I didn't know
Right.
what, and maybe I shouldn't know what those are because you start spending more money. But
Oh yeah.
there's some great movies that I never heard of while I started dipping into those different, boutique
Hmm.
labels and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna ask you if you found yourself getting into like boutique labels since, being a collector and especially dipping into the Bluetooth community. Have you started like, I guess you have if you're mentioning things like Indicator and all that, but was that like the launch point for getting into those once you started um checking out people in the community or even before that?
Um, I did not buy any Criterion before getting into the Bluetooth
Hmm.
community. So it was just something that I probably walked past it, didn't think anything about it.
Yeah.
But then somebody was like, "Oh, you got to check this movie out." And it's got a Criterion release, and I'm like, "Okay, well, what's that?" I don't want to sound stupid, but I'm like,
Yeah, you want
"So
to find out.
yeah, like what does that mean?" And kind of getting into it more. So I know I honestly, when I said Indicator, that was I just purchased my very first box set from them. It just came in. It was I'm going to probably misspeak, but I think it's Universal Noir #1
Oh, yeah, yeah,
box
yeah,
set.
yeah.
So that was one that it was David at Film Collector Archive.
Shout
Um,
out to David.
I got chatting with him on a couple of his videos, and I saw some of those releases, and I'm like, oh, I was over the last couple of years, I started getting into some older movies and some noir movies, and I was like, wow, that's a great set. And
Mhm.
he was like, once you buy a region free player, your world is opened
It's
up.
on and popping.
Yep. So I have a box sitting over there with a region free player and my first region B box set.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's a whole new world that you just opened up for real.
yep.
Um, these comments are keep coming in. It's beautiful. Talking about meeting up with people, I know you did that recently yourself.
Yeah.
Ryan mentions that meeting others in the community is surreal. Talking about collecting, the monkey asked if you have a favorite steelbook that you own.
Favorite steelbook. I don't have a ton. I mean, I have some. I don't have a ton.
Hmm.
There's been some of those Lionsgate ones that I've just thought are really cool.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
I
I'm
just
not
picked
saying
it
this.
up finally.
Oh, nice.
It
Yep.
was like $10.
I I'm not saying it's my top one, but I don't know why it's popping in my head. But the and please don't make fun of me. I'll mispronounce things all day long. But Sisu or
Yeah,
Sisu,
yeah,
that one I don't know why that one popped in my head when I
that's a fun
had that
movie.
one. So yeah, that one's crazy. But
I enjoyed that one. We saw that at Panic Fest in April when the Rad Pack and I went to the
yeah,
film festival. So it was nice to see that early because that movie was just to see that with a theater full of movie lovers who are also maybe a little bit inebriated and very, very crazy. Great time.
that
Great
would have been
time at the movies.
fun.
Talking about the community. That's how many people in this community are. We're all starting to meet up, and it's like we've known each other. It's true. It's true. Made a plenty of real friends within this community. That's cool.
Absolutely.
What's up, Michael? Thanks for hanging out and joining us.
Hello.
Jordo, your question is going to be my question, so I'm just going to ask it now. But Jordo's question was, do you have a favorite movie for 2023 as we close out the year?
So this is where I will answer that, but this is where I'm kind of bad where I'm not seeing a ton of brand new releases. There's been so
Mhm.
many older ones this last couple of years that I've been diving back into. So like getting into community where I mean anything from like the 1940s to like early 2000s, they're just movies that just completely missed me. But people are like, "Oh, you got to see this one. You got to check it out." So it seems like there's been a lot of those that I've been watching, but just coming out of the whole Halloween season, everything like that, one that kind of popped in my head that I honestly didn't have any interest to see it in the theater, and I don't go to the theater a ton just
Yeah.
because of time, or I live kind of out in the country, and so it's a little bit of a drive and stuff like everything. But Cobweb was one that was I believe it was released this year, but it just was
Yeah.
earlier in the year. I just recently bought that and watched it on recommendation, and it was one that I was pleasantly surprised with.
Yeah. To add on to that, my question was similar. What has been your favorite purchase this year as far as Blu-ray or 4K?
Oh man.
It's a little bit different, but probably a lot harder to answer.
Yeah, that's a hard one. My favorite purchase. I don't know why. It's probably just not to cheat out on this one, but that indicator set that's sitting over right there. I'm pretty
Mhm.
excited about that just
Yeah,
because now I have a region free player and it just feels like I got the new toy and I got this. I opened a new door. I can
yeah.
access things that I could not access before. So there's
Mhm.
something kind of exciting about that, I guess.
I hear you. Tony P in the
Hey,
house.
Tony.
What's up, my man? Um, just continuing on, Dell says you definitely feel like you're visiting an old friend when you pull up the channel of someone you watch often or interact with. So true.
And
Um,
and I even find that too, where it's just not putting any pressure because I even realized just being this new into it, and I got so busy, and I wasn't feeling well for a little while, and I had a bigger gap than I thought I was going to do between videos. The very limited amount I do, I can tell the people that put way more production into it than I do, how much time it takes and effort.
Yeah.
And life is busy.
Yeah.
And so there's times when, I've reached out to a few people, be like, hey, no worries. But I was like, hey, everything good? I hadn't seen you in a while, kind of a thing. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like you were down at the local grocery store and you just hadn't ran into the same person for a while. And you're just like, hey, just checking in to see everything's good. And
It's true. Sardis has a great formula for watch at least one new film to you, and then rewatches is a good formula for exploration. So one
I like
new,
that.
one familiar.
I
I
like
like
that.
that.
I might be stealing that. I might be
Yeah.
doing that here.
Talking about the dubs versus the subs, always a fun conversation to get into. Jodo says first attempt might have been Old Boy, awful dub. Learned that at a young age. Yeah, if you grew up in the 70s and 80s, you had no choice. It was
Right.
Dub City. Everything
Yep.
was dubbed. And I know Mika hates the dubs. There are times I'll turn on captions on English. That's the only way I watch movies at home. If I buy something and it doesn't have like captions or subtitles, I'm like, what's wrong with this thing? Subs became second nature after a while. Like watching a movie in the theater, everything but the screen disappears once it starts.
I agree.
I've even done that once. It was after I went to see Dark Knight Returns or whatever the third one is, and I couldn't understand Bane. I said, next time I see a Christopher Nolan movie in the theater, I'm gonna get one of those little gooseneck things, and it happened to be Dunkirk. So I was happy because Lord knows couldn't understand a word they were saying on the screen. So I had the little thing there, and I just held it up high enough so I could look at the screen and look down, and it was like, oh, this is like subtitles at home. It was great.
I found the same thing. It took a little practice, but it's now I don't think a second thought about it, but it does take a little bit, just a couple times, but it's so much better.
Yeah. Yeah. Garrett's talking about it here. A childhood full of Godzilla movies, preferred dub.
I know that.
All over the place to read. Yeah, you miss out on a lot of great foreign movies if you can't read subtitles.
I don't know why that made me think of when I was a kid. I had some real cheap VHS tape of it was like Godzilla versus Mothra.
Yeah.
And I remember just tearing that or wearing that thing out. But yes,
you and I
bad dubs.
Yeah. Dell, I didn't check my mail today, but I will. You mentioned Dunkirk before, and Tim, showed up. So there you go. Ryan said it. Tim heard Dunkirk.
Did somebody call?
He's like, Dunkirk?
Yeah.
Someone saying something positive.
Somebody needs to be on the stream right now.
Yeah, Dell knows. Driving movies on Saturdays, 3 p.m. New York Channel 5. Grew up watching those dub kung fu flicks, revisiting with subs, giving it new life. So true. It's a different movie when you watch it with subtitles. You're
better movie.
Yep. Also bought my first indicated movies this month. Can't wait to see how they look.
Cool.
Yeah.
Which one did you get? Maybe throw in the chat. What you got?
Put it in the chat. Let us know which indicator titles you got. Yeah, getting a region free player is a game changer. I have my regular 4K player for like 4Ks and then region A Blu-rays, and then I keep my region free player set on B for there's hardly anything for C. So
except
it's just set for that.
Except now I'm being worse than a kid because it was supposed to be my Christmas present. And so it's like sitting right here in my office. And I'm like, can I just want to make sure it works. I just want to make sure it works.
Yeah. Before the return policy, I just want to hook it up, see if it works.
I don't think I have the green light yet on that one. So
what's up, Mark? Good to see you, my man. I stay away from region free plays, keeps my scope more focused. Interesting.
And there are a ton of movies that you could probably go forever and just pick one region of the world, and you probably could go forever. Just keep on going.
If you know, you know. Oh, hi, Mark. Conversations going back and forth. I'm still selective, even though I have a region free player. I get a lot of second sight Blu-rays, and yeah, that's it.
Well, and I'll still be selective too, because I keep myself to a budget, and there's some of those that can get kind of pricey, and just kind of pace it out. And I don't need to. I have not watched everything that I have sitting at my house, so I don't need to buy everything that I see
Right.
coming in. It's hard to resist that urge once in a while, but
I was thinking about that the other day because, with Black Friday sales going on pretty much all this month, and I'm like, I just got a whole bunch of stuff that is just adding to the unwatched pile. And it's
so
like, should I slow down for a while? And I'm not
I
doing that.
was just having that conversation with multiple people, and
Mhm.
I've kind of decided whether it would hurt me or not. I've kind of thought I'm going to get through this sale period right now because there was a bunch of good sales going on, and kind of the same way I've added to my pile of unwatched things. But I think for a little bit here, I'm going to be a lot more selective for the next
Mm.
for a little bit here, not forever, and not saying not, I don't want people to be like, oh, you're not a collector, you're not buying
Yeah,
everything that's
yeah.
coming out, but there's so many things that I have that I know I want to watch that I have here. And so I'm not saying not gonna buy anything, but I'm gonna pump the brakes a little bit and kind of dig into what I already have sitting here and put a little dent in that, especially
Yeah.
after these sales that have been going on.
Well, what I did this year that really helped me is that, I've never been like the super day one buyer since,
Hmm.
I had kids, but um I kept my upfront purchases to steel books and like boutique stuff that I know I wouldn't be able to get in 6 months. It might
Right.
sell out or whatever the case may be. And then like for Criterions, if I wasn't getting like reward gift cards from like credit card companies or whatever, I would pump the brakes on it.
Yep.
Unless it was like a Criterion's flash sale or something. So when I got like what's a good example? Um, I don't have any here. But let's say I got like a 4K that came out in March and I just got it. It was $20 less than if I bought it that first day. And my mentality behind that is it would probably be sitting there for 6 months before I get a chance to watch it.
Right.
So it's
Right.
either sitting in the store depreciating in value to them or sitting on my shelf with that same value that I paid day one. So yeah.
Yep. So that was kind of hard with me
Up
with
fish.
hey fish. That was kind of hard with me with this last with this Barnes and Noble
Hmm.
Criterion sale going on right now, just kind of still being newer to that. There were so many other Black Friday deals that I got that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get two. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get two. There will be another sale. They'll be sitting in the, like you said, those are not ones that are limited. You're not gonna not be able to most of them. I know there's things that have gone out of print, but they're pretty old. But that's one that I'm like, it'll be there for another day. So I was
Yeah.
like, just stuck with two and we'll hit another sale in the future.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Um, Thank you everyone for the chats and the conversations you're having in the chat. Pretty cool. Um, I'll throw up one more comment before I continue here. I thought I was done after the Criterion sale. Wrong. Kino now has a sale. You know what?
I
Sometimes you have to turn a blind eye. You have
exactly.
to turn a I checked out Kino and I looked at my wish list and there was nothing on my wish list that was on sale. I just closed the window immediately.
I didn't even look
Not
at it.
even look.
I deleted that email so fast because I was
You're a
already having
smart
these
man.
conversations of like pumping the brakes, and then the
Yep.
keynote email came over, and I'm like, no.
Yep.
I was like, I didn't even look at it. I just deleted it. I love them, but I
Me
need
too.
to take a little break.
All right. So I have two questions before we get into the five takes, and
Yeah.
we could do this quickly.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I was excited about on your channel intro video was the passing idea of the movie club. And I think I even mentioned that to you. So
Yes,
here's
you did.
my accountability question for the evening. When
Yes.
are you going to start the movie club, Corey?
I need to very, very much so. And I still want that. I still want to do that. So this was the thing where a lot of these things were I've been thinking about for a very long time. I kept
Mhm.
on, like I said, there was for me anyway, there was a little building up the courage to take that step to put myself out there to do the videos. So I was putting it off, putting it off. I thought about it forever. Well, it might not have been the best time to do it in like October. Well, then
Yeah.
we had we've had a lot of family like visiting, we've had holidays. I
Mhm.
had a cold for a while, and it just things just kind of piled up there. And that was that first video. I do want to do that, and I want to get on it soon. I don't want to put it off a real long time, but that was like a buildup of like, I finally was like, okay, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do a video. I'm going to start talking about things had been rolling around in my head. And I still want to do that because I love talking about movies with people.
Yeah,
Oh, go
tell
ahead.
people what the idea was in case they haven't seen that intro video.
Yeah. So I, and like I said, somebody else could be doing the exact same thing. And I'm not trying to say I'm the original coming up with this, but I love watching movies and talking to people about them, what they thought about it, things that worked, didn't work. And the idea was not to be corny, but you have like book clubs where somebody picks out a book, you read through it, and then you have a discussion about it, And I thought, well, that'd be fun to do with movies as well. But I know that, like, we were just talking about budgets, and everything's more expensive for everybody. And I was like, well, a good way to kind of break down a barrier to have those discussions would be to pick a movie that's at least in the US, readily available on a free streaming service like Tubi or Freevee or something like that. So I thought about, well, it'd be cool to have a guest or however anybody that wanted to join in, and then like announce a week or 2 weeks in advance a movie we're going to watch and what free service you could watch it on, and announce it to everybody. And so people would have a chance to watch the movie and then join in on the chat when we met up and did a live stream to talk about it. But that barrier would be gone. So if somebody wanted to go buy it, or if they already had it in their collection,
Right.
more power to you. But there wouldn't be a dollar amount that would keep somebody from being able to have that conversation that you'd say like, hey, and I know it can't be for everybody, it'd be basically for the United States. That's what I know and what's available to me. But it'd be something that be like, okay, it's on Tubi or Freevee or something. There might be some commercials, but you could see the movie. You can see the movie and you can have a discussion about it with everybody.
That's the part that I really like about it, is that you're not excluding people in that sense. Like, even if you're in a book club, you got to obtain the book some way. You might be able to catch it in your local library, but most time people are downloading it on their Kindles or going and buying it in the bookstore, ordering on Amazon, whatever the case may be. This way, it's it's almost like, I like the expression low hanging fruit. It's low hanging fruit to say, oh, so and so is coming out on December 5th, so why don't everybody just go and buy it and we'll talk about it the following week. That's like too much. Or this is coming out in the theater, we could go watch it at your local theater and we'll talk about it in a week or two. This way, if you have access to it, great. If not, it's a free way to do it, at least like you're saying in the States. Yeah, can't wait to see what you do with it. I agree. I agree.
And there's some great movies on those services too.
Yeah, I was surprised. Tubi especially.
There's a lot of, in a great variety of them too. I was surprised. That's where I was like, if you can't find something you would want to watch on one of those, you're
not looking.
You're not looking hard.
Looking.
Absolutely.
And that's not stopping. Like even something like an hour release like JSA.
Yeah.
They had JSA on Tubi.
There has been Arrow. There's been Criterion. There's Korean, Asian cinema. There's action flicks. There's popcorn flicks.
Horror flicks.
All over the place.
Talking about the purchasing of movies up front versus waiting. Huck says, I'm right there with you on the waiting game. Patience wins out. Getting new movies cheap, it's a good feeling. It sure is. Let me tell you. I love watching everyone with the Tuesday hauls and all that. Sure. And
who doesn't?
I'm kind of like, that looks great. I could wait.
Yeah.
Because I'll go and do the same thing, and then I bring them home, and like you said, life gets in the way, and it's like I don't have time to watch this. And then next thing you know, it's on Amazon for $10 less, and people like me, I get upset at that. And Tim says here, always another sale around the corner. We don't need to jump on every sale that comes up. Good restraint.
Very true. Very true.
Going back and forth. Yeah, there's another thing. Once a month on Disconnected's Discord, they watch a movie together, live chat, talk with our mics afterwards. That's cool.
That's awesome. I'll have to check that out.
Shout out to you, Ryan, and everyone over at Disconnected on that Discord server.
I'll have to check that out.
Really cool idea, Corey. I would definitely be interested in doing that with some people. Yeah. I think that's the whole thing. Once you get it started, you'll have interest from people who want to join. Like if you decide to do like a live stream with, a round table of people and you're just moderating it, or you just have like 1 or 2 guests on, however you want to do it, I think it'll be successful.
I think that'd be great. Yeah. I think I say one person because I'm still kind of hard on myself where I'm like, I don't know how many people will want to join in and talk with me about the
You'd
thing.
be surprised.
So, well, and it might be like me. It's like, it's finding other people that I'm like, I don't have anybody at home to, and not to sound weird, but like at home to talk about this. And it's
Yeah.
nothing bad about people in my house. They just have other interests and we have
Right.
things that we have commonly an interest in talk about. But it's when you find a few people that have that same interest and just want to talk about it and just let's watch something new and dig into it.
Yeah. Last question before the 5 takes. We'll end where we began. It's called Wilkie's Movies and Music. So can we look forward to videos about music too?
Yes, and I need to get to that. I definitely am leaning. I know I'm pretty much only hit movies at this point. I do want to mix that into it. I think movies is probably a bigger knowledge base that I have than music, even though I love music. I need to do more research on that to be able to talk about it more intelligently on the channel. And like I said, that name and I kind of went all into it a long time ago and was like, oh, I'll make a logo and I'll get this done. And I came up with that name and then I didn't do anything with it for a long time. And so who knows if that would be different if I started from scratch right now today, but it is an interest of mine and it's something I would want to mix into it. I would say that more of the community that I've spoken to has been more on the movie side of things.
Yeah.
So I do want to mix that in, but at the same time, I don't want to alienate people that maybe don't have that big of an interest. So it's finding a good way to mix that into it. Maybe not doing a whole video on it, but if I do, okay, this is what I've watched and listened to this past week or this month, or
I think like PlatX too has a good method there. Like if he does a haul, he'll show his books, he'll show his music, and he'll show his movies.
Right.
So I mean that is the crux of his thing. It's movies, music, and books.
Yeah.
So how come I can say that? Well, movies, music, and books. Maybe I heard it too many times.
And I do like his channel, and like when we were talking about Film Collector Archive, they have more than love of other things too, like you said, books and music, and they mix it in there. It's just finding a good way for me to do that. But right now it was more
your own.
No, I know. And it was right now, it was more of like, I don't know. I just felt like I needed to start doing it and get it out there. So right now it's me just like you said, hitting the record button, just start talking, start putting some things out there and see what sticks and what doesn't,
Yeah. And there'll be a level of experimentation too.
Yeah.
So you will come up with what works for you and kind of have your own niche. And I'll just end with boo. Where's Johnny's comment? I lost it. There it is. Trust me, Corey, all you have to do is put out a request. You'll be flooded with responses. Believe me. What's up, Pap? We're just about to get into the 5 takes. Thank you once again, everyone, with the comments in the chat. But we're going to hit Corey with these 5 questions. Same 5 questions we asked at the end of every conversation. Back to the normal questions. So we start with number 1. Name the film that made you fall in love with the movies.
Okay. I have a stack of movies over here for the questions.
Yeah, he's bringing physical to it.
Hey, I gotta flash some of the stuff here, but but I would say Superman, the first one.
Mine is still wrapped up, but
there you go. That's a nice set. I like that one. That's one I get to watch other people open and get jealous about. But so this one, so I don't want to be weird or corny with it, but there was movies that I enjoyed before and after this that I really got into. I really enjoyed, and not to be weird because I know it's a superhero movie, but this was one that it was the first movie that I kind of connected to more than just an enjoyment of watching it level. So anyway, not to go into it too much or not to be too weird, but I'm adopted and I grew up with my mom and dad in a very rural country setting. So, like I said, born in the
Hilarious.
70s, in the 80s, I did not know anybody else that was adopted
Oh,
around.
wow.
It was just whether it happened and just wasn't talked about. It was always open in my family. I never remember a time when my mom and dad sat down with me and told me I was adopted. I
Mm,
just always knew. And so to me it was normal, but then I'd run into a few situations where I felt, and not to be corny or like tying to this, but I felt a little alien. I was like separate. Some people looked at it differently than
yeah.
naturally born with the family, but I didn't feel any differently for my mom and dad, and I know they didn't feel any differently with me. So when I got into probably like middle school, I started watching this movie even more and started. I'm not saying I'm comparing myself to Superman, but I kind of got this like he kind of in a sense was adopted. He came from a situation where he was sent away. He had adopted parents, and then I got the feeling of like he was a rural farm community, and that I don't know it. If you ever have that movie that just made you comfortable with who you were and
Yeah.
just comfortable in your skin, and like you're not alone in that, and there's other people that are experiencing those things, and it's
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
So not to be too deep on Superman, but that's
No,
my,
man, that's a great answer.
so
I love that. I
it
really do.
it was just the first movie that I had something more than just an entertainment level connection with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have to imagine you were at that right age, like, it's very easy for us to look at, like, the MCU and the DCEU and, what we have today, but if you were born in the '70s and '80s, you really appreciated those early superhero comic book strip
Yeah.
made into movies situations because it was all you had. You didn't have, you know, 50, 11 shows coming on
Yep.
and, 29 feature films. You had that.
Yep.
And you prayed there was a sequel.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
Unfortunately, those didn't all go as well as I
no,
hoped,
no,
but
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 it
that
was
first one
there
was
for
a
you.
but
It
the
was
first one
there
was
for
there.
you. Soon as you showed that this is the first person I thought of, because I know this is one of his biggies, this and Star Wars. He
Oh, yeah.
spoke about it when he was on the conversation with me. I knew it even before then. Adrian James adds that that was the first movie he saw in the theater. So, yeah, good choice. Good choice. Tiana says, "Got to get that Superman 4K set." Oh, got to get into it. Okay,
Oh, okay.
yeah, me too. I definitely. Let's continue on. Number two, name five of your favorite movies. Not the five, but five of your favorite films.
And I'm glad you said not the 5, but just
Yeah, I don't do
5 of
that.
your
It's
favorite.
fluid. It's
I'm h
fluid.
Exactly, that's how it is with me, and that's hard to do. So I
Yeah.
I started just going through and, like, picking some up that I had some good memories with, that I love the movie, and so I was going through it. So the first one I'm gonna throw up here is RoboCop.
Yes. The hour release. Love it.
Yep. So this is one that I was, and I still love it a lot too, but I was a sci-fi junkie when I was a kid. So anything like outer space or robotics or what have you, I got into it.
Mhm.
And this was one that I remember seeing it. I remember it ended up just we'd rent it so often that my mom finally was like, let's just try to find to buy it. Can we buy it somewhere? At that time it was always just going to the rental store and getting it.
Yeah.
You almost didn't think about buying a VHS tape, but our little rental place that we had in town, anytime they had any promotional posters, things like that, they would, after they got done with it, they usually were beat up and they'd have holes poked in them, things like that. But they would roll them up and put them in this big container, and they would just put like a sticky note on it, like what movie it was, and they'd sell them just super cheap. And I
Yeah.
always loved going through there and picking through them. That was a movie. There was a couple movie posters that stayed up on my wall for a long time in like my kind of, you know, preteen years
Yeah,
and
yeah.
there was a RoboCop one of that's why I had to switch the art around because that was the poster right there that I
Yeah.
had
That was
hanging
the
on the
old school
wall.
poster. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Yep. So anyway, sorry not to go too long
No, you're
on
good.
any of these, but that one. So the next one I'll do is Unforgiven.
I finally upgraded that like a week ago. It was like Black Friday sale for like $10. I'm like, I love this movie too much not to have it on 4K. So I
This
just
is
got that.
this is one that I have probably every format except Laserdisc for
Mm,
this movie, and I still have them too.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's one that like I said, I kinda grew up in a farming community. My dad watched westerns all the time. I got into them. I still like them today. I went for a little while where I was like, "Oh, that's what my dad watches," and I
Mhm.
kinda went away from it, but came back and there was a lot I like. This one, I don't know, it stuck with me. There's so many lines in that movie. So one thing, if you hang out with me more, I'm really great at misquoting movies. So I hardly ever tried. That was the one of the quotes right there, Johnny, was,
It's a
and
hell
I
of a
always
job.
get it wrong, but it's like, it's a hell of a thing killing a man. Take away everything he's got and everything he'll ever have, or something along those lines. And that, and there's,
As long as you get the roundabout of it.
yeah, or there's the final scene when he comes into the bar. And Gene Hackman, you just shot an unarmed man. And he's like, well, maybe he should have armed himself. He's going to be decorating his place with my friend. And that's a great. Sorry,
He's so good
I'll
in
go
that
on about
movie
that.
too.
That's a good one. Well,
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood, Morgan Freeman, and Gene Hackman, I think, are all
All
great in
great,
that.
great performances
Yep.
all around.
So, all
Yeah,
right.
there you go. Deserves got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many lines in that
So
movie.
many great lines.
So good Western, but
Yeah, for sure.
if I ever need to speed up, just you won't hurt my feelings. Just tell me
You're
to.
good, my man.
All right. So the next one I'm going to do is Batman 1989. So this one, for a couple reasons. One, this was the first movie I remember getting like a fever to want to go to see. And I know it's probably one of the first ones that they put a full media blitz behind. I
Mhm.
mean, any fast food place had cups with the stuff on it. They had
Great promotions.
posters, they had t-shirts, I remember having things hanging on the wall. I remember, sorry, not to go on, but for the music side of it, I remember at the time, you didn't have streaming. I wouldn't always be able to buy like whatever I wanted, but there was, and the Prince song from the soundtrack.
Party Man.
Yes. So I remember calling the radio station to request it, and
Yeah.
then you'd have your boom box with a
Mhm.
recorder, and I'd have it playing, and I'm like waiting there to be able to hit record
Or
just in time. But then I'd get mad because the DJ would talk too far into the beginning of it. I'm like, no, come on.
I need a clean copy.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So no, I'd run into that. But then also, not to go longer on this one, but this was one that I remember my mom. So it was before I could drive when this came out. I
Mhm.
wanted to see it so badly. At this point, my mom was single mother, working a couple of jobs, such a hard worker, loving woman. She's great person. She knew how badly I wanted to see this movie, and they
Mhm.
had like a 11 or 11:30 Thursday night showing. She had to work like really early the next morning.
Wow.
She drove me down to that movie, sat through it. She had no desire to see this movie, sitting there eating popcorn, probably like not doing anything but really watching it. But
Yeah.
and we didn't get, and we lived out in the country, so this was a little bit of a drive for us too. So we didn't get home
Yeah.
until early morning hours. But I
Wow.
still remember that because there was a couple. That wasn't the only time she did things like that where she was. I don't know. Anyway, so I have a great memory of having that time with my mom, whether she enjoyed seeing
Yeah.
the movie or not.
Um, Garrett, Born to Be Red, and I talk about this all the time, and Johnny just added it in. Batman was the first time experiencing pandemonium
Yeah.
going to see a movie. I remember in college at the time, like I said, everyone was talking about Batman that summer. The poster with the logo was everywhere.
Everywhere.
Subway stations, sides of buildings, people were getting the Batman logo tattoos. It was everywhere. Not only the Prince soundtrack, but also the Danny Elfman score.
Yeah.
Everybody had it. Everybody
Yeah.
had it.
Well,
Yeah.
there was,
Money, money, money. Who do you love?
yep, it was everywhere. So no, that was one that,
Yes.
no, I definitely remember. So at the time, we just didn't get many movies like that, the comic book. So you'd read the
Yeah.
comic book. So I was talking about Superman earlier, but Superman and Batman were kind of my big ones when I was a little
Mhm.
like younger kid. But to see it come into a movie theater on a big screen,
It was a big deal.
yeah,
And
it
I
was.
think people today can't really appreciate that because
Uh,
of just like the saturation
yeah.
of comic book hero movies that we're getting today, you don't really appreciate how special, especially if you were a comic book reader,
Right.
to now see your favorite characters up on the screen. Like Hugh Jackman, say what you want for his depiction of Wolverine in the X-Men movies, not Logan. Logan was what we wanted from the beginning, but it was everything to us. If you were an X-Men fan reader,
yeah.
to see Wolverine on screen, even if he wasn't as violent and as as vulgar as he was in the comic books, to get any depiction of him was enough.
But they were coming to life right there in
Yeah.
front of you.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
absolutely, Dell. You couldn't look anywhere and not see a
Everywhere.
Batman logo on something.
Everywhere.
I'm sure I had a few T-shirts and stuff with it on there.
Same thing with Star Wars when it came out. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mad Magazine, Cracked, special time. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay. Sorry. I went off on that
You're
one a little
good.
bit too. All right. So the next one, Heat.
Ooh, good one.
So just recently got the 4K. I know it's mixed reviews on that one, but this is one that so like I said, I'm picking some that have kind of some meaning or memories to them with me. But
Mhm.
this one, I remember going to the theater for Heat with 4 buddies. Me and one other made it through the whole movie. So we had 2 of them walk out because they were like, "This is boring," whatever, they walked out of the thing. But we were quite a
This
bit
was
younger.
before the shootout. I mean,
They left before that, leaving
yeah,
the bank, and I'm like, "That was that
me too.
shootout." So that's the other thing too. I had the VHS. I have it somewhere still in a box, I think, but it was a double cassette
Mhm.
VHS because the movie was so long. But the second disc, the second VHS tape was them. The start of that was them walking out of the bank. So
Yeah.
the exit. So I think I wore the second one out more
Yeah,
because
'cause that's where it gets good.
well, I liked the whole thing, but there were sometimes like I can't watch a whatever 3-hour movie, but
Yeah.
I was like, I want to see that shootout, and that
Yeah.
whole thing. But
And everybody talks about that scene, but I think that was kinda like the scene that they made to be big,
yeah,
but, leading up to the movie, everyone's like, they were in a movie together, but they've never been in a scene together, and to get De Niro and Pacino in a scene together, that was more monumental than the shootout. It's only now we talk about the shootout more.
right. So that was going to be my next part of that was that whole sitting down at the diner, the whole
Mhm.
across each other. That I think that was a bad moment, like to pull
Mhm.
him over and just be like, "Hey, do you want to have a cup of coffee?" And they're just sitting
Yeah.
there. And De Niro's sitting there with his gun down by
Mhm.
his leg, and so I thought it was pretty tense, but it was kind of a cool interaction between the
Yeah.
2, and
It was like a chess move,
yeah, it's
for
kinda like,
sure.
we're sitting here talking, but if I have to put you down, I'm not gonna think
Mhm.
twice about it, and to have that kind of conversation across from
Yeah.
anyway, that's a
Yeah.
great scene with the 2 of them.
I hear you, Dal. I hear you. I hear you. It happens to all of us.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yes. The sound on that shootout scene, if you have a good system, is just beautiful. Beautiful. What else?
Alright, last one here out of those. This one I pulled is Out of the Past with Robert Mitchum, Jane Greer, and a very young Kirk Douglas.
Mhm.
This was the memory on this one is I just saw this probably a couple years ago, and up until that point, I was kind of turning my nose up at black and white films or anything, before the 70s, probably. I'm just kind of
Yep.
like, eh. This one was highly suggested to me, and they're like, just watch it, just look. And so I went out and bought it after I saw it, and I really liked it. I'm a sucker for some of the movies where somebody has either a dark or like violent past, them trying to escape that, and then whether it comes back to haunt them or they find redemption, through the end of that. And that definitely has it in this movie.
Mhm.
Um, I won't go too much into it, but anyway, that one. So
Great.
after that, I have a lot of black and white films now, and I found a whole nother world there.
Yeah. I watched that. It had to be, like, on TCM one night, and I'm like, "Why have I never heard of this movie?" Next
Right.
thing you know, I got the DVD.
Yep.
Then I was trying to find the individual Blu-ray, and I couldn't. I found it on, like, one of those 4 film sets. but it had other great noir movies with it.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started getting into like film noir, and Double Indemnity
Yeah.
immediately became my favorite from that. Like I was telling you, I just watched it again this past weekend. So
Or
uh,
they don't even have to be black and white. Not to go off, but a Double
yeah, yeah,
Indemnity. I love that one from Criterion. And then another one that was a really early one I got, and then shortly after that was Leave Her to Heaven.
yeah,
But that's in color. But so that was kind of weird to see the bright Technicolor pop with
yeah.
that one. But I was like, man, that's a lot darker than I thought movies from that era would be. Like
Had
the subject matter.
it had a look that was like set for like a melodrama,
Yeah.
but it was a noir film.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, good choices.
So
Good
yeah, those were
choices.
one.
No, you're good, man. Um, all right, so we could get through these pretty quickly. Name a popular classic movie that everybody loves, but you don't particularly like.
So I love that you changed the end of that to don't particularly like and not like hate
hate
or can't stand, or because I know I was almost gonna change it because I was like, I don't want to get too much hate for this one.
Nah, be you.
I own it, so I don't hate it. I just wished I loved it to the level of a lot of people I know. So The Big Lebowski.
Okay,
So
okay.
I don't hate it. I like it. I just
Mhm.
don't feel like I have this appreciation or to the same level of a lot of people I talk to with it. So that's where I'm like, please don't hate me. I'm not saying it's horrible. I don't hate it.
I think people put it in that cult classic mindset, and then it's like, well, now I'm going to learn lines, and I'm going to have a white Russian with it and enjoy it. And sometimes it's just a movie for other people.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get
So
it. You know how many times I went to upgrade to the 4K, and I'm like, I'm good with the Blu-ray. I don't know. I don't watch it that often. There's other movies from the Coen brothers that I'd rather watch.
so I had the Blu-ray upgraded to 4K. So if that says anything to anybody that's coming after me, I did see the movie on Blu-ray and purposely went
Yeah.
out and bought it on 4K. But I wished I do like it, but I wished I loved it to the level of a lot of people that I
Not
talk to about
necessary.
it.
Not necessary. We got James in house from 20th and 21st movies. Double and Indemnity, Leave It or Heaven, both good. Happy Hump Night. Thank you, sir. Good to
I
see
find a
you as
lot of
always.
good Criterion suggestions from James.
Yeah, he's good at that.
Yep,
Yeah, me too, man.
it's a great
Me
one.
too. I see it on, and I'm like, I could go pull my Criterion 4K, or I could sit here and enjoy it on TCM. So it's all the same to me. He's teasing.
Johnny!
He's teasing.
Johnny's
He's
never going to
teasing.
talk to me again.
He's
I'm going to wait
teasing.
to see how
Just
many people
Tell
won't
him,
talk
tell
to
me
me
like
now.
Ghostbusters, and everything is fine.
I love Ghostbusters, Johnny.
There you go. There you go. See, he's good. He's good. Let's flip that. Number 4, name a critically hated movie that you love.
Okay. So I'm not trying to cheat on this because I know there's people that love it because I've talked to other people with it. But if you look at like Rotten Tomatoes, the critic score, it's
Mhm.
not good at all. But I really like Man on Fire.
That is a good
Okay.
movie.
I
It
like
is.
it a lot.
I don't know why they were so rough on that movie, but it was good to me.
If you look up I would, or not IMBD, but the Rotten
Rotten Tomatoes.
Tomatoes. So I was going through some of them I had, and I don't know. I was just looking up a few.
39.
39. So that's low. That's
Yeah,
really
very
low.
low.
I really like this movie. So this falls into my line of liking the whole dark, violent past and trying to either it's coming back to haunt you and trying to find some redemption or closure
Redemption.
with that.
Yeah.
And I think it totally does that with that movie. And I don't know, Denzel Washington is awesome anyway. So I like that one a lot.
Ryan's favorite Denzel movie. That's saying a lot.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's one of my top ones of his.
Yeah.
And top ones that also when I was surprised how low that score was too. But
Very, very. Once again, thank you to everyone in the chat. Tiger Blue ads, Man on Fire is superb. Was that critically hated? Yeah. Like we said, Rotten Tomatoes 39%, but what do they know?
I know I don't follow it, but
as we get ready to land this plane, I want to thank once again everyone in the chat, everyone watches on replay. Thank you. It's good to come back and have the support and everything. So I always like to say, please go ahead, do what you're supposed to do, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. follow me on all these things over here, blah, blah, blah. Self promotion, blah, 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 blah. This is what I should really put. Thank you for joining us. If you like it, hit the thumbs up. If you've been here before and you're going to come back again, hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you know when to find me. Boom. Now, with that out of the way, number 5, who would you like to see me have a conversation with on this channel?
This was a hard one because there's so many cool people out there. And so I don't want to feel like I'm slighting anybody. But one thing that, like I said earlier, growing up in an age where we didn't have internet, I find it cooler and cooler to branch out and find people from other countries and getting exposed to movies that I may have never heard of and getting a totally different perspective on other ones. So I know you've had a few, at least one or two from the UK before. So this guy has been a supporter. I've talked to him for quite a while about him on his channel, and he was a big supporter of me really early on, even getting the courage to start talking about things. But it's Paul with Magpie Movies. So Magpie Movies.
Writing it down.
Yep. So if you look at it, this is where it's kind of funny with this too, is getting over different, I guess, slang or dialogue. There's been times where I've messed things up. So if you go out to his channel, it will say Magpie Movies with Jordy Paul. His name is Paul. I sent him something.
And you said
Jordy Paul.
Yeah.
Jordy, he informed me, was what they call people from Newcastle in the UK. So I was learning all kinds of new things, but he's big into movies, has a great collection. He's big into music. He loves that. I know he's like learning to play guitar. He likes posting some stuff recently of concerts that he's been going to. And he's a huge, I'd call it soccer. He'll call it football. Yeah, he's a big sports fan. Yeah. Yeah. So that was another thing he had explained to me too, that he has a good footy shirt collection.
But you see what this is? This is like cultures combining and coming together. And that's a beautiful thing about it, is that he gets to learn a little bit about you. You get to learn a little bit about him. Cultures interact. You see the things that are different, but more importantly, the things you have in common. And I think that's a beautiful thing about reaching out to people that are different from you. I think that's the thing that makes us wonderful, is like the uniqueness of different people, different cultures, different backgrounds, different countries. It's a beautiful thing, you know. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I wrote it down. I'll definitely look him up and see what he has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sorry.
But you know, I want to thank you once again for coming on. I knew it would be like this. So every time you apologize, I'm like, please stop, because I wanted to have this conversation with you. You're like one of the first people I reached out to after the spooky season. So I'm glad you were able to make the commitment and come on.
I'm so glad you reached out. And
thank you, Laren.
Oh, hey, Laren.
You're gonna make Johnny watch Big Lebowski again. Thank you, Dell. Thank you, Sardis. Good to see you. I'll see you on Thursday night, most likely. Thank you, Gunchi.
And I'm not going to cut you off from going to this, and don't want to take you too long on that. But would I have time to throw out just a couple things before we drop off?
Oh yeah, please do.
But keep going. I just want to make sure. All right, right now.
Yours.
Okay. I wanted to just do a shout out and a congratulations to a few people. Some hit some milestones pretty recently. So, but first, a couple, and I know you're familiar with them as well and mentioned it earlier, but over later tonight, I think 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern at Steelbook Obsessed, Jake over there is having Ryan on from Movies with Ryan, and they're going to do his, he calls it his boutique talk. And they're going to be, I know, hitting Criterion and doing a review of one of the movies. So they're both awesome guys. Go check them out later. If you have an opportunity, drop in and see them. And then some shout outs really quick. I'm sorry if I miss anybody, but there's a few people that hit some cool milestones here recently. But I was going to say congratulations to Chris C, the slasher dude. He hit 120 subscribers. I think that's awesome. Nice. You know, everybody's at different stages of this journey, and I know that's a big thing, that he was just reaching to go over 100 and now all of a sudden he's 120. So I think that's awesome. If he has not hit it yet, right before I got on here, Derek the Convicted Cinephile. So over at he was a few away from 1,000 subscribers. So if any of you have not checked out Derek at Convicted Cinephile, go check out his channel and subscribe to him. You will not regret it. He's got a great sense of humor, great content, and if he's already at 1,000, which he might be by the time you go look at it, just help him get to the next milestone. Exactly. Like go out and do that. Sorry, I'll make it quick. Johnny, what's Johnny watching? He surpassed 500 subscribers, and like you said, he's doing a giveaway here. So go check his channel out. He's a cool guy and very big supporter. All these guys are
cool kid,
cool, big supporters. To also mention another Derek, Pure Hangout. He recently hit 1,000 subscribers. So very cool. Go check him out as well. Help him get to the next milestone. And then a big one that I'm just blown away. To me, it just seems like an unobtainable number. But Huck's Pop Culture, he surpassed 4,000 subscribers recently. So anyway, sorry, I just wanted to hijack it for a little bit because I thought it was really cool. I saw each of them post here just pretty recently, hitting those milestones. Like I said, Derek, Convicted Cinephile, almost there. Go over there and help them get over that and help them get to each of them to the next milestone. They're all awesome people.
Indeed. And yeah, congrats to all of them. Please, like we say, follow each other. You know, most of the people that are in the chat have YouTube pages. If not, they have most likely Instagrams. So go ahead and follow them. They're all great follows. Want to thank you again. Let's see who else is. No, sir. You were there.
He's the original cool kid.
Yeah. People are saying congrats and thanks. All the Derek's real for sure. Yeah, Huck hit that on Thanksgiving. Yeah,
that's awesome.
That is fun.
I know you passed it, but it was just kind of cool. Some of these were just somewhat recent. And I just
wanted to props, man. Giving you props.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're all great follows. I will say that. But I want to thank you again for coming on, and this has been fun.
It was awesome.
Definitely looking forward to more content and the movie club.
Yep, I gotta get that rolling, man.
Yeah,
maybe you can come join it someday.
I'd be honored. Be honored. And this is another one, another milestone for both his channel and for the Rad Pack too, for their podcast channel. So definitely follow all members of the pack and follow the Rad Pack podcast as well. Great channels, great people to follow.
Absolutely.
We know you guys already love Mel, Justin, and Garrett. So definitely follow their collective at the Rad Pack podcast. There you go. There's Mel checking in as well. Great to have everyone back. We will have, I already forgot who's going to be on next week because I'm terrible with these things. Next Wednesday, we will have Excelsior movie reviews. Same time, same bat channel. But until then, as I always say, go watch a movie. Have a good night, everyone. Thanks you for joining us.